Services. And it's Debbie Cunningham. And you can see her on the screen over there. And I forgot to also add the interpreters will be voicing and signing tonight. So thank you all for coming here tonight. This workshop is called Social Media and You. Before we begin, I want to give a brief explanation. We'll have two keynote speakers here, Rachel Strella and Yegar Patel. Their presentation will last about an hour. After the presentation, we'll have about a 10-minute break. After the 10-minute break, we'll have a panel, and that will be about an hour. After the panel discussion, we'll have a question and answer session. And after the workshop, I want to invite all of you to stay after and socialize until about 10 p.m. If you need to go to the restroom, you go out the main door, and you'll see the hallway. You'll hit a corner, make a left, and then the men's and women's restroom on the right. I want to go over two simple rules. The first rule is if you need to use your cell phone, please use it out in the hall. And most importantly, please one person speak at a time. It's important for the interpreters and the cart person to follow along. After this workshop, we'll have a cookie cake. Cheesecake, I'm sorry. Cheesecake. So feel free to stay after the workshop. And now I would like to introduce Rachel Strella and Yegar Patel. I'll let them introduce themselves and they'll start with their presentation.
Hi everybody. I'm Rachel Strella and I'm very excited to be here today because I too have a hearing disability. Because of the hearing disability, I was drawn to social media. And I think that you guys will be able to relate to some of the things that I'm going to talk about today.
I'm Jigar Patel, and I work for IU11, and I'm just passionate about social media. And I'm going to give you sort of my experience in how I use it to sort of communicate with people that have sort of shared interests as I do, and people who sort of are in the same sort of community or in the educational realm, speaking on how I sort of help them get on social media and utilize it in their way. So I'm really excited to be here today as well.
Please bear with us. This is a learning experience for us. I've never done anything like this before, so if I'm going too fast or you have questions, feel free to stop me at any time. So I'm going to talk about limitations, meaning what things are we experiencing that are both real and perceived as we're trying to find a job. The first one, truth or myth. Being deaf or hard of hearing is a disability. That's truth, right? The second one, truth or myth. Being deaf or hard of hearing makes people not want to hire me. Do you think that's a truth or a myth? I think that it's perceived. I think that sometimes we feel as though we're not hireable because of this. Truth or myth? Being deaf or hard of hearing excludes me from certain things. Can anybody identify with this? Finally, truth or myth? Being deaf or hard of hearing makes it harder to get a job. I can identify. One of the things that drew me to social media was that when I watch television, I watch with subtitles. Social media is online and everything is written in text format. So I can totally identify with being able to see everything written out. All of these perceived or real limitations can be overcome because of social media. But what is social media? There's a lot of elements to what social media is and what it isn't. Jagar and I are going to talk about that today. But I want to give you the basics. You've probably heard of some of these things: Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, blogs, and Google+. These are all forms of social media. They are all done online. Social media is a lot like sharing. A good example of this would be a campfire or a tradition.
And this is one of my favorite comics. This is one of my favorite comics because it sort of explains how we've been...
Hold on just a second. Would you mind moving over here? Because you're standing in front of the words on the screen.
Sorry about that. Social media, we've all been doing it since early age. And this is my favorite quote. It says, "I swear if Uber puts one more picture of his pet mammoth on this wall, I'm going to club him." So we've been, as a community, we've been talking about what people do all the time, ever since cavemen. And what the difference now is that we're doing it worldwide. And you can do it with people that are in central Pennsylvania, with people who are in Australia, people who are in Africa, people who are in Europe. And that's what made social media so intriguing, because it sort of makes the world smaller, even smaller. Because we all know it's a small world, it just makes it even smaller. And the other aspect that I think is interesting is that it's like sitting around a campfire and sharing stories. So we all share stories and experiences around a campfire. Social media is exactly that. You want to be able to share your story with other people, as well as listen to other people talk about their stories and experiences. And you can sort of get yourself out there by sitting around the campfire and telling interesting stories. And what you might find is not interesting turns out to be interesting to other people, and that's what makes it intriguing and exciting.
If somebody were asking me to give a definition of social media, I would say that it is an online conversation with the power to reach many people. This is what we were just talking about. And what's great is these people can be anywhere in the world, can have any background, any history, any limitation, speak any language. And we can have a conversation with them. Social media breaks down some of the limitations that we were talking about earlier. And the thing that I love the most about social media is that on social media, no one knows you have a hearing difficulty unless you tell them. And people will get an opportunity to know you as a person first. I think we can all agree that once we get to know somebody and we discover things about them that we did not know, it didn't change the way we felt about them. That's what I love about social media.
This is one of my favorite illustrations of what the world looks like from the perspective of the internet. So this is the Apple Store in Shanghai, China, and just imagine yourself being in the middle of that glass building, and everyone around you is under an umbrella, and you don't know who they are, but they can see everything that you do. And that's what your online profile, or that's what your social media profile is, that everyone can see what you're doing, but you can't see who they are. You can't see, whether they're a male, female, what race they are, what, where they came from, what age they are. You really can't see that. And it's not to scare you, of course, because that's a scary image, but it's to show you that one of the advantages of social media is that you can sort of protect yourself by putting down shades. So if you just wanted people to see certain aspects of your life, you can put down curtains so no one else sees it but that core group of people. And then as you connect with more people, the umbrella sort of goes back and you sort of see who those people are in real life, and that's the way that you sort of start your relationships with them.
So now that we understand that social media can break down barriers and we can get to know other people, the question is, how do we get started? The first thing that I tell businesses, and that I'm telling you, is to define what you're trying to do. What are your goals? It's obvious that for some of us in here, our goals, we're trying to find a job. So we have to decide which social media channels can help us achieve those goals. And we mentioned a lot of them. We have Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Google+, blogs. How do you determine which is the one for you? My quick recommendation would be to start with these two, Twitter and LinkedIn. The reason I choose LinkedIn is because you can target other business professionals. So if you're looking for a job, you can find folks who are already employed and start networking. For Twitter, you can build a community with people like yourself and also potential employers. A few tips. If you're going to set up a LinkedIn profile, these are absolute musts for anybody. The first one is to include a photo of yourself. We identify better with somebody when we can see their picture. The second one includes skills and past work experience. Even if you have not had a job that might be compatible with what you're looking to do, Put any past experience on there. I worked at Kmart when I got out of college, and I put that on my LinkedIn profile because I had customer service and work experience. So put anything on there that you think is relevant. Also include your skills. You may have skills that other people do not. And you want to make sure that you list those in the area where you can have your summary. The next thing would be to join groups in LinkedIn. There are groups for any type of professional industry that you're looking to get involved in. And you can participate in those groups and get to know people. And finally, start connecting with others. Once you've joined groups, start trying to connect with people one-on-one. Take that conversation outside of the group and make a personal connection and get to know them. This will take time and it will take effort, but it's a great way to get started to jumpstart your career. This is an example of my LinkedIn profile. You'll see I have my photo, my name, my past work experience, my education, and what I currently do. On Twitter, you also want to include a photo, and you want to include a short bio. You only have 160 characters for your bio, so you're going to need to say something quick and to the point. A couple of short phrases that identify you as a person, as well as you in terms of what you're looking to do in your career. Start to follow other people. Follow people on Twitter that interest you, that you might want to connect with, that you think offers relevant information. And monitor conversations online. The great thing about Twitter is there's a lot of information in a very short time frame. And you can start watching what other people are talking about, what they're looking for, and you can jump into that conversation. Here's an example of my Twitter profile. You'll see in my 160 characters, I list things about myself and about my business. I'm a social media manager, a speaker trainer, a writer, an entrepreneur, a champion for small business, high D personality with suprachloric energy. By reading my profile, you may get an idea of the kind of person that I am. And that's what you want to reveal on Twitter. When you get started on Twitter or LinkedIn, the key is to connect with other people. By just having a profile, that's not going to get you anywhere. You have to put effort and time into it, connecting with others, finding similarities and common ground, and starting the online conversation.
Also want to add on, one of the main reasons why social media works the way it works and why people are so fascinated by it is because when people are on social media, they're themselves. That's the authenticity that it brings. People like talking to people who are themselves. People don't like talking to people who take up a persona